Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. We got a bunch of crazy stuff to talk about today. Dr. Umar Johnson has lost his mind. That's one person that I would debate and destroy. There's a few people on my short list that I would destroy in a debate, but Umar Johnson is one of them. A pastor decided to throw them hands on somebody, and I haven't seen the fullness of the story, but sometimes you gotta put in that work. And sometimes you gotta be King David. That's all I'm saying. A woman who decided to baptize her kid during COVID is now getting off of murder, and you have to hear why. But before we get to any of that, Dominique Alexander, the idiot that the Carmelo Anthony family hired, just divulged the stupidest thing that I've ever heard in my life, and it's all his fault, to be quite honest. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
I want everybody in this room to have that same spirit, that same identity carried in your life.
Make sure that you go through life and find your purpose.
And we don't do this just to get a pat on the back. We do it because we came here to win.
And it starts with you understanding that God has a purpose for you.
This is the time to be more bold than ever before.
We're all Americans at the end of the day, and we should love one another. We should be focused on what's right for our country. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got to get on a flight later, so we need to make this really quick. So I want to give a shout out to all the members. Thank you guys for being members of the Tatum membership program. Here's the Deputy Chiefs. It's the top tier membership. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. The numbers are growing, and I appreciate every amount of sacrifice you guys have made to support the channel. And I love all of you guys the same. All the way from the rookies to the Deputy Chiefs. Thank you guys for joining the membership program. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to John Root. He came up with the idea for this hat, and it is Genesis 9:12-16. The rainbow belongs to us, not these weirdos, all right? So you can get you one of these hats at tatumstore.com, tatumstore.com. Now, look, before I get to Dominique Alexander, I just want to say this real quick. I am so perplexed that people are still questioning the Charlie Kirk thing. One day I'm going to do a Q&A. And I'm going to open it up for everybody to ask questions, and I'm going to give you as much information as I can. Just so you guys know, I'll be at the trial, the pretrial hearing, and I'm going to be able to get the information, and whatever I have, I'm going to present to you, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. But please, for the love of God, do not believe people who are saying microphones, Turning Point, Netanyahu has something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. I just want to throw that out there. All right, let's get to Dominique Alexander real quick. Look at this fool. This is the worst investment. This is why you don't fool with black people. I'm just keeping on. If you black and you want your kid to not go to prison for the rest of his life, don't go with these black people. Don't go with these activists. They do nothing but hoodwink these people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You got to go with somebody trustworthy. Listen to this fool here. And he's wrong on both sides of this argument. Roll it.
I had him meet with another attorney, a black attorney. The first attorney I had to meet was black. Rain asked me what the price that black attorney was.
Charge?
$500,000. $500,000. They weren't talking until they gave him $200,000.
What the white man say?
75.
75,000?
Yeah. And so my thing was, is like,
do you know how ridiculous this is? I want you guys to put this in perspective. The family was stupid enough to hire this idiot. He gets on board. They raised $600,000 in a GoFundMe. And he's saying, I don't want to give black, it's wrong, like y'all, it's wrong in like 3 different ways. One is that a black man want to shortchange black people. Dude, you trying to get over on your own people. They charge $250,000 because they gonna represent him well. But black people don't want to support their own people. He don't want to pay them what they worth. So he willing to go to the white man at a cheaper rate. They ended up getting Carmelo Anthony 35 years in prison. And in my personal opinion, did not defend him well. He should have took the stand. They shouldn't have made it about race. You name it, they shouldn't have done it. But it's the epitome of a black man saying, I'm not going to pay these black people what they worth. I don't care if they'll get him off. I know we raised $600,000, but I'm not going to give them $250,000 to represent my son. In this case, their son. I'd rather him go to prison than for me to spend $250,000 of the $600,000 that was raised on GoFundMe free money. And then you can look at it from the other angle. I thought we supposed to stick together and all this stuff. Couldn't they pro bono? Or couldn't they give him a discount? Or could he paid later in the trial? It's all stupid and messed up. And it's the epitome of this whole Carmelo Anthony case. It's encapsulated with this idiot saying Carmelo Anthony's life is not worth a $250,000 deposit on a murder trial. And I guess he goes on in the video to say that they wanted to get a white attorney because he thought that a white attorney will be better favored in a white community with a white jury. Now, how did that work out? That's why y'all can't trust these activists. They'll get you screwed every time. All right, next clip. Let's get to the pastor who decided to put his hands out and pray for this man with holy blows. That's what he did. He was throwing holy blows on him. Now, I'm not the one that believes in violence unless it's necessary. But there comes a point in time where people just need that work. And it's good that a man could, but with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, give him the work. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all gonna be mad at me for saying that. I'm just kidding. All right, roll the clip. Time out. He talked all that noise and threatening people and doing all this, threatening people's families and stuff, and now look at you. Now you won't help. Roll it. Liberal don't know how to fight. Don't let him take you back. You let him take his back. Now he's squirming. Oh man, Bishop had enough. Bishop had enough. He was going to break his neck. Was he going to twist his neck, man? Bishop. Somebody get their past off here, man. He had enough. He had enough. Look at a little weirdo living in his mom and them basement playing video games all day. He wasn't ready for that sauce, man. All right, roll the clip. This is the news clip.
Scott Sherwin says this feud goes back for years between his family and Pastor Tony Spell, but he never dreamed that he would come running at his son today, sending him to the hospital. This shocking fight doesn't have any audio because it was taken from a surveillance camera. It captures a brawl breaking out near the city of Central. Punches being thrown before both men fall to the ground. Investigators say one of the men throwing punches is well-known pastor Tony Spell of Life Tabernacle Church. Moments before those punches broke out, another video shows Spell charging at the man. The father of the alleged victim gave the WAFBI team this video with no sound. Spell was arrested shortly after the fight and charged with second-degree battery. Cameras were rolling as deputies took him into custody. These pictures, also provided to us by Scott Sherwin, the father of the young man, are the end result of that brawl, which he says required his 20-year-old son to receive 5 stitches in his chin. Sherwin told the WAFBI team there's been a long-standing feud that's gone on between Spell and his family.
I'm glad we listened to God and not the governor.
Pastor Tony Spell made headlines and became nationally famous when he defied COVID restrictions during the height of the pandemic in 2020. Spell was charged with 6 misdemeanors before the Louisiana Supreme Court ruled in his favor. Spell's popularity came with defiance, as some Americans believed there was an overreach of government restrictions during the pandemic.
We've been mocked, we've been ridiculed, we've been slandered, defamed, but now we're thankful that we have finally been vindicated by the highest court in the state of Louisiana.
Arrest documents obtained by the I-Team on Tuesday showed the alleged victim admitted to shouting a profanity at Spell, who then ran across the street and a fight ensued. The arrest report notes that Spell and his attorney declined to comment and told deputies to go ahead with the booking process, which led to this mugshot and a felony charge for Pastor Tony Spell.
All right, now here's the pastor and giving his statement on his accounts of what happened. Roll it.
This individual is walking up and down the shoulder of the road. He's shouting vulgarities, profanities, and very nasty words towards my person, toward myself. And while I'm working on this particular bus, he said, "Tony," I'm quoting him, he said, "Tony, I'm going to rape your wife. I'm going to rape all of your grandchildren." And he said, "The next time you go out of town, I'm going to kill them. And what the F are you going to do about it?" End quote. This has gone on for years now. Behind me are several witnesses who can attest to what was said. They have video. They have made numerous complaints to the police and the sheriff's department. Our church represents 27 nationalities. Every nationality that comes to this church comes for a safe place of refuge, a place of worship. Many recovering addicts who come for a place of worship. They are constantly stalked by these individuals across the street. They are constantly intimidated with threats of bodily harm. There's not a person that's come to this church that's standing behind me in this meeting today who hasn't been called the racial slurs of the N-word. Their children have been screamed and shouted with vulgarities. As a shepherd, I have not allowed the sheep to attack the wolves for what was said to them.
Thank you, Bishop. Let me just say this real quick. I just want to give my opinions about this. You know, I'm not a person that believes that you should resort in violence, but there's a time and a place where people need to learn to stop messing with people and threatening people and doing all that gay, crazy stuff because you ain't ready for that smoke. So let it go. And I can just see it right now. I almost feel like the pastor is on the same wavelength as us. You know, a pastor that say, "I'm going to stay open during COVID," and he end up winning in that case, tells me what kind of pastor he is. But when these leftist lunatics get to shouting and playing with God, it's at some point, pastors need to take a stand. And I'm not saying every pastor needs to put his hands on people. In this situation, that may have been the appropriate response, but pastors need to quit being soft all the time and take a stand somewhere. You have to take a stand. Let me tell you this. You're not Jesus Christ, okay? You don't have you don't have an assignment where you're going to go to the cross in his days, which means that in a few days it has to be fulfilled that Christ is sacrificed on this day and is raised on this day before Pentecost and all the Passover and all these things that need to be fulfilled. This is why Peter couldn't start whacking people, is because Jesus couldn't avoid the cross. So there was a point in time where there may need to be violence, but Jesus Christ could not get caught up in none of this violence and going to jail and none of this. He had to be taken to the cross. And this is why he told Peter, hey, look, he put the man ear back on after Peter cut his ear off, put the ear back on and said, look, there's things that need to be fulfilled, Peter. We can't be doing this. Because I need to go to the cross to fulfill all this stuff. And so in other cases where you see King David and other people of the Bible, we worship the same God, where there was a point in time where you had to stand up for your people. There was a point in time where you had to stand up on principle, 10 toes down, on concrete. And that's why I'm not mad at this pastor for doing that. Sometimes people need their butt whooped, man. It was a good one-to-one man-to-man fight. And when it was over, it was over. It was no punching him while he's unconscious. Nobody used the weapon. It was a straight, you talking that noise, now let's handle it like men, and then we go our separate ways. So some people may not like what the pastor did. I don't have a problem with it. Sometimes you need to spank these people. I'm just saying. Is he going to keep doing it? No, he probably not because he got that spanking. All right, let's go to Umar Johnson, who there was a gentleman that he's on the gentleman show, and he said, hey, man, I would love to get you and Umar Johnson together. I will debate Umar Johnson any day of the week. The stuff that Umar Johnson says is completely nonsensical, and it only makes sense to immature black people or black people who have not been exposed to anything other than stupidity in the black community. I'm being honest. I would listen to Umar Johnson when I was in college, and I would have been like, dang, this dashiki dude is deep, bro. He care about the people, bro. He's standing up for ours, bro. That's back when my brain wasn't working right, and I wasn't saved, and I wasn't mature. The frontal lobe of my brain didn't develop yet. And now that I'm an adult, and I know how to do research myself, this is the dumbest guy on planet Earth. Roll the clip.
I'm going to tell you a big problem monogamy creates for professional, successful black men. You know what it is? I might be in love with you, but I'm like, damn, she nice too. So when y'all say you got to dwindle it down to one, you know what ends up happening? Time starts getting wasted. Because we cannot decide just one. When a man got two women who've been rocking with him and holding him down, and both of them expecting to cut the other one off, you know what he gonna do? He not gonna choose. Keep them both. Neither one of y'all get married. That's the problem in the black community. Whereas if y'all said you can choose two, that's better now. I got you, and you help me choose the other one.
So,
Time out. That fool said, he said, y'all let us choose two? That's better for us. How about you help me choose the other one? What dashiki black Hebrew Israelite Muhammad is he talking about, bruh? What makes you think? No black person that I know that's heavily successful is trying to have two women. There is no human being that is a man with common sense that thinks that the best decision for his life as a high net worth person is to deal with two women. One woman is enough. You got to do two women. Hey, when you get divorced, because in many of these cases there's such thing as common law marriage, when you is committed to two women and you got kids with these women and y'all break up, you're going to be paying child support and alimony and all this to two different women now. Ain't no black man that got sense want two women. They may want to screw two women, but a man with common sense knows that that's not the right thing to do. You might want to in your mind, but in reality, how does that benefit you in your life? How does that benefit your business? How does that benefit you as a father? How does that benefit you, your reputation with people? You know you can't love two women, really? It's hard to love one. Come on, he says stupider stuff than this. Roll it.
but your two women, is it just, they just focus on you? Are you letting them scissor and bump get involved or what's
No bumping. This is no carpet, right?
Okay.
They are my wives.
Okay.
But they will work together in everything else.
Okay, so no extraness. I just want to know. Because a lot of times that does happen.
I know.
That does
and
happen.
And a lot of times the men want it to happen. You follow what I'm saying?
A lot of men want to, and a lot of men don't want it. And a lot of women sneak and do it.
That's true.
A lot of women sneak and do it because they're being themselves and everybody being honest.
This devolved into stupidity even deeper. He got more. There's more. Look at what he said about Child. Rick Child. Listen to this fool. Roll the clip.
Cyrus goes into the store. They thought he stole some water. He didn't steal no water. He leaves the store. Andy Chow Che Ming, the son, he decides to walk out. Then the daddy and the mom follow suit. The camera doesn't show us everything, right? So we don't have footage in either one of these cases that we can really see, allegedly. They allege that a 61-year-old Chinese man from Hong Kong chased a 15-year-old black boy 110 yards long. Do you really think a 61-year-old man can chase a black teenager
Time out.
110 yards?
Clearly he did because he shot him. He shot him. There's witnesses. He shot him. So what do you think happened, Umar? The aliens picked him up in a spaceship and flew him over there. And you see on the surveillance, he's running behind his son. Just because they're not in a cardiac situation like most of you black people are, obese and diabetes, and you can't run at 60 years old, don't mean the Chinese man ain't doing it. They eating rice and stuff every day. They lean. That man been chasing y'all Negroes across the street for 20 years now. So he got good shape. Quit lying to yourself, man. That man shot him. He said he shot, he admitted he shot his son and have a gun. The witnesses saw it. Umar, what you talking about? Roll the clip.
And catch up to him?
They saying anything at this point.
I believe Andy Child, the son, was Brother Cyrus Carmelo Belton's killer. And I believe the father simply decided to take the rap for his son.
Wow.
And I believe Cyrus was shot, not because he pointed a gun at Andy, but because they couldn't catch him. They could not be outsmarted by the little black boy, so they decided to take his life. Remember, according to the pathologist, Cyrus was in a runner's position when he was shot in the back. Loon, how am I posing any threat at all to your safety or that of your son when I'm fleeing away from y'all? My back is to y'all. You shoot me in the back and I'm in a runner's position and I'm going to make it even worse.
Come on, Umar. What you got, brother?
Alice Child, the wife, guess what she does?
What?
She compromises the crime scene. She picks up both of Cyrus's cell phones and his shoes and takes them back to the gas station. Loon, if this boy pulled out a gun on your son, okay? First of all, if he pulled out the gun, he would have never dropped it. Loon, he got on the hoodie. The gun would go back into the hoodie.
Right.
You follow me? If he ever had that gun in his hand, pointed at one of them, it would have been in.
So was he found with a gun? Did they try to act like he had a gun?
They said a gun fell out of his person while he was running.
Wow.
I'm not even convinced the gun was his. I'm not convinced the gun was not planted. Do you feel me? I'm not convinced of that.
Somebody, anybody, check on Umar. Homeboy doing shrooms or something. What? Let me clarify the stuff he's saying because he's stupid. He didn't watch anything. He didn't listen to anything in the trial. He didn't listen to the attorney for Child. The kid was showing guns online before this. The gun that he had, he's showing guns online, doing gang signs and doing all that stuff. The kid was 14. He runs. They chase him. He turns and pulls the gun. He did not get shot in the back. He got shot from a flank angle. The bullet went through across. So that means it matches when they said he turned and pointed the gun at them, it matches the bullet going through and through at a cross in a cross angle. That's why Child is not in prison right now. See, you ignorant folk make up stuff that ain't true. And then you wonder why people get off. They got off because you lied. He got shot in an angle. They proved it in the court of law. He wasn't in his back. It was consistent with him turning and pointing the gun and it going through his hip and out his side like this. He had a gun on his person. His DNA was on the gun. All of these things, and the witnesses saw the gun. The witnesses saw the gun next to his person. Child shot him. Child had the gun in his hand. You know, let me explain this. This is why these people are stupid. It would have been better if his son would have been the shooter. It was a chance that Child could have went to prison because now you have yourself defending another person. It's easier if you articulate, I was defending myself and no other people witnessed what happened. Because when you're down to the situation where you put your son involved, now you got two stories to tell. You got two stories to tell, and you got one person saying that they felt threatened and the other person shooting them. That's not clean. That's a difficult articulation to make. But if it's just one, you say, he tried to shoot me, I shot and killed him. Dad don't have to testify because he wasn't there. Son don't have to say he was defending anybody else. He was defending his life directly because it was a threat of serious bodily injury or death. The more people you have, the harder it is to testify. The other person that can deny what the son said, if that was the scenario, is dead. So therefore, you got a case where there's no witnesses. No witnesses of the actual shooting. So his dad wouldn't run into the situation and then say, oh, I'm going to add myself in this and make it more complicated so I can end up going to prison when my son wouldn't go to prison at all. Okay. Last clip from Dr. Umar Johnson.
You being who you are, what do you say to black people, black mothers, black fathers who have black children?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is if you're raising a black boy, you need to be very careful about the school district you send them to. And you need to be very careful about the county you living in. Because as you know, Loon, when we make a little bit of money, the first thing we do is what? Black flight to the white suburb. Black flight to the white suburb. And then what we say is, well, my son is an athlete. He's not going to have a hard time. Carmelo Anthony was captain of the football team, and I think he was captain of the track or the basketball team. But guess what? Look at the situation that he found himself in. And did him being a captain of his sports teams matter? Loon, did you see his football team stand up for him? No. Did you see his basketball team stand up for him? No. Did you see his track team stand up for him? No. So you moving out into a white suburb with your black athlete son, thinking him being an athlete is enough to save him? It's not. This does not mean Carmelo's mother and father were at fault for where they lived. I want to be clear. I'm simply saying going forward, Loon, if you're raising a black boy, you need to be very careful as to where you raise them and the school you send them to, because what did I tell you before? In a previous conversation we had, when you are a black male, you are not given the benefit of a childhood.
You know how crazy this is that he's saying this? This is not the experience of most people in America, most black people specifically. I grew up in Texas. I grew up in Fort Worth. I went to Crowley High School, and then we went to Dunbar High School, which is right in the hood, all black. And we only went there not because we had to or we want to live around a bunch of black people. We went there because the sports was good and it was an opportunity for us to have a scholarship, which we both did. Me and my brother both were U.S. Army All-Americans, and we were top players in the nation coming out both years and had scholarships to almost every university you could think of. And so it was a football decision that we went to the hood and played football there. But when we lived at North Crowley, went to North Crowley High School, it was great. It was a whole bunch of black people went to North Crowley. And we were all middle class. Nobody thugging and banging and doing all that stupid stuff. Nobody was doing that. We playing basketball at my friend Brandon Gardner's house all night long until the lights come on. And we ride our bike through the safe white neighborhood at night. We ain't got to worry about nobody drive-bying, nobody doing none of that stuff. This is what happens. Like Umar Johnson just revealed himself is that when black people make money, they move away from the inner city community. Because it's not safe, there's not opportunities there. It's the same thing when they call white flight. Black people come into these communities, they destroy the community, and white people are getting out of there, and black people. It ain't just white people. But they don't call it nothing when black people leave. They only call it white flight when white people leave so they can play the victim. As my father got more successful, my mama got more successful, we moved to better neighborhoods. It's not the neighborhood's fault that white people are in these neighborhoods. We're just moving to a better neighborhood. And unfortunately, the better the neighborhood, the more white people is in the neighborhood. It ain't their fault. Why is it their fault that they want the neighborhood clean and they doing all this and then black people want to move in their neighborhood that want to be successful? And I'm not saying every black person, every black neighborhood is bad. I'm just saying there's a very big difference between living in Stop 6 and living in Crowley back in the day, and when Crowley was not saturated with crap. Living in Stop 6, living in Eastwood, living out Miller and Berry is not the same as living in Crowley. I just want that to be very clear. I did not hear gunshots almost every night when we lived in Crowley. There was no gang banging. No, you couldn't walk down this street or that street. People flying down the street. My grandma's house, because we stayed with my grandma for a year or so to get into school, and she lived in Eastwood. Black people going 100 miles per hour down Grandma Street. That you can't even, if you got a car on this side, a car on this side, you can't really do two cars in the same street. They going 60 miles per hour down the street. Kids playing on the street and everything. They don't care. They don't care. And the crazy thing is, my uncle robbed the convenience store right down the street from my grandma's house. They had him on the news. He shot the clerk, tried to shoot the clerk in the head. Thank God the dude ducked. That would happen in Crowley, would it? And when I say my uncle is my great uncle, on my mama's side, let me just say that, because I don't want my uncle and them being like, y'all, I ain't do that. No, I ain't talking about my uncles. It's my great uncle. It's a generation ahead of my uncles and on the other side of the family. Nothing against my other side of the family. I'm just saying I got to be accurate, because I don't want my Uncle Derek and them see me at the cookout and be like, bro, I see what you saying on there, man. You better clarify that. Your uncles ain't doing nothing. Nah, dude, my uncles are legit, man. My uncle Renzo, Uncle Derek, I love y'all, man. And y'all may be watching this. I just want y'all to know I love y'all. I love my uncles, man. I love growing up had uncles, man. They used to watch us. Uncle Derek had the bass in the car. We used to take us to school every morning. Anyway, let me get up off here. I love you guys. We got to get up out of here. Some really interesting news coming back from our travels. You'll find out later. I love you. We're out.